Rose, Ingrid, welcome. It's great to see you. And maybe I would say let's hop right into the discussion. And maybe Ingrid, I can start with you, if that's all right. You have a microphone. Because I wanted to start from GIZ's perspective. You guys are committed to ensuring that, LDCs, least developed countries, but also small island development states, that they really can equip themselves according to their own needs. There's a big justice element in that as well, a big equity element. So can you maybe explain to us how that can also be ensured in this transition towards renewable energy that we need to make, and also what the role is of the involvement of communities in that regard?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me in this very exciting debate today. Of course, I mean, we all know that LDCs and small islands development states, they are particularly affected by the climate crisis. Mm-hmm. And therefore, we have to recognize they have specific needs. They need more support when it comes to means of implementation when they embark on an energy transition. Well, actually, the extension of renewable energies provide to those country groups a lot of benefits, because renewable energy is actually the cheapest energy that is available right now. Right. But of course, those countries also need the type of investments, the public support in order to make it happen and to bring clean energy to people. We have to remind ourselves that still, for instance, in Africa, more than 690 million people don't have access to electricity and to clean cooking. Yeah. So this is quite important. So when it comes to the role of local communities in those countries, I would say that involving local communities provide actually a double benefit. Right. First, they are actually the ones that know best about the ecosystems, they know best about traditional knowledge. Yeah. And so when we embark on renewable energy infrastructure investments, we should bear in mind that we do no harm, and secondly, that we actually give local communities a chance to be part of this journey, part of this endeavor, and make sure that they can really benefit in economic terms and with respect to access to clean energy.
Yeah, because in theory, what you're saying, it needs to be tailor-made, and the best way to make something tailor-fitting to a community is to ask them. So it's not, don't talk about them, but talk with them in a way. Maybe, Rose, I can go to you. I started off introducing this session by saying that, hey, we want to focus on local communities and indigenous knowledge and wisdom, because that is so often overlooked. It's an underestimated resource that we have. So maybe asking you the golden $1 million question, how would you say that we can best go about to include indigenous knowledge, local community knowledge in this specific energy transition that we need to make?
Thank you, Lisipug. Firstly, thank you for that, and it's been a great honor to be here in Berlin to speak on this. This question is something I really wrap my brain around. We've got many great leaders in the audience here in Chiefs that have been championing a lot of, pressing and pushing our rights. But firstly, what the most important thing is respect and recognize our indigenous right to the land. You know, industry, investors, industries, energy industries, to be aware that indigenous play a bigger role in the energy transition in the world today. And everything that we do is interconnected. You know, it's, as Mi'kmaq people, we've been stewards of the land. We've been working together to provide opportunities, and we must have mutual knowledge sharing on the energy sector. And it's, there's a lot of moving parts, but the most important thing is that we don't compromise ecological integrity.
Right.
And as, we're always working towards the work that our ancestors have left us to do. And when we look at these energy projects, we are looking at the future of our 7 generations and working together as industry and as indigenous leaders in this country on economic reconciliation.
Right.
And as indigenous land right holders, we do have the right to use and control our traditional land use. Yeah. So when we take that on, it's a very serious action that is taken by the leadership in our teams, in our business teams, that we are really working on transforming behavior done by past wrongdoing in the past to indigenous people in this country.
I love, if I can just say, I love how there's this time element which has a certain sense of longevity to it, right? It goes back to the past, but it also goes back into the future, I should say.
It goes back to the future, and that we're to be taken seriously,
Yeah.
and that we're taking the steps in terms of developing land for energy or any kind of
Yeah.
renewable projects that is
Yeah.
done in a way that does not compromise the integrity.
I love
of
that.
ecological integrity.
Yeah, I wrote it down when you said it, protect environmental integrity. Maybe, Ingrid, if I go to you, when we talk about the inclusion of these local communities, and we talked with Magda just now about it as well, what are some of the challenges that you encounter when it's about citizen engagement, and how do we sort of overcome them?
Well, we as GIZ, we are working in 80 countries globally, and one has to say there is no one size fits all. But the most important point is, as a departing point, is actually the acknowledgement of governments and also private sector developers about the rights of those local populations and indigenous peoples, and actually the value to make them a stakeholder in this endeavor.
Right.
And one can face countries where these framework conditions are not yet in place,
Yeah.
and other countries where actually local municipalities, governments are more forward-leaning, and then, of course, it's easier. What can be done in order to make this whole endeavor more productive and more successful? Of course, as has been said previously by Magda Fletcher, to strengthen the capabilities of local communities to participate, which is not only about educations, but it's really about the right platform, it's about language, it's about the room to listen, and to depart not from assumptions that when you come in that you know what would be the best benefit for those local communities. And sometimes we are mistaken, and we have really to listen, make sure that we understand what are the real needs in order for them to benefit from renewable energy investments. And we have to be also, as implementing agency, cognizant about possibly barriers that are out there, and then try to start a dialogue to convince authorities to overcome them, because at the end, if we work in a more inclusive manner, the whole project will be more successful.
Yeah, thank you so much for saying that. And I love how you added indeed, so past education, additionally, it's about language, and especially what you said, it's about having a starting point that isn't rooted in prejudices and sort of like assumptions, I think is what you said. I think that's a very beautiful one. We're almost nearing the end of this deep dive, so I wanted to go to you, Rose, and I was particularly interested as we focus on sort of things that we can do, and if we're becoming very tangible and concrete, what would you say are additional measures that we can take in order to ensure Indigenous peoples' consultation, that we respect that knowledge and wisdom, and that we use it in this entire energy planning and transition?
Wow, okay.
I was going to say, no pressure.
So I think I'm going to speak on this. It's as a Mi'kmaq businesswoman back in Nova Scotia. The question back to you, I'm trying to follow your questions, but the biggest part is like the consultation and the prior consent are very important, and we make sure that happens. We take very serious approach to that, but the biggest part of it is that we're partnerships and co-investment and owners, and that we have a seat at the tables, that all the meaningful decisions that are being made on resource development is done. You know, and the key word here is just on taking action on the advocacy on Indigenous rights and how we provide and can be business holders in these huge transactions.
Right. Yeah.
As prior, we were never involved or excluded from these processes, and today we're not. Today we're investment holders. Today we're owners on projects, and it is, you know, taking and participating from natural resources, and that we're also incorporating our Indigenous knowledge into this.
I love that. Yeah.
That you know, we're using the Mi'kmaq ecological study and also the two-eyed seeing approach when it comes to really diving into and working with us at the Indigenous level when we're making these partnerships with
Yeah.
renewable energy.
Yeah, but I love how you say it's also about, and I know there's so much knowledge that has been shared by the both of you in this session, but I like what you said indeed about that sometimes we place people in these boxes of what they can be and what roles they can bring their knowledge and their wisdom in. And as you said, it's also in business, it's also in organizations, it's in so many forms. I think the both of you are putting in the good work, and I really want to thank you for that. We're also already, unfortunately, at the end of this deep dive, so thank you so much for sharing your insights. Ingrid Hoven, thank you so much. Rose Paul, thank you so much for being here.